I think the one thing we need to do is to basically finalize some sort of job description for the treasurer position. Um, and um, so we can talk about that. And the other was, I don't remember the exact language that was used, but essentially the candidate that we had that was brought to the committee or to the board, the board had basically approved his appointment contingent on this committee. I don't remember the exact language, but this committee basically giving some kind of sign off on that and saying that we're okay with that. Is that
Right,
your
but
understanding?
that's my understanding, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we should discuss what that should consist of, what we want, what we feel like we need to do as far as, so I guess, step one is we need to get the job description together and then provide that job description to the candidate so he actually, sees the full description of the position that he's potentially being appointed to. And then we can discuss where we want to go from there. Do we feel like we want to have, a meeting like this, a committee meeting with the candidate to meet and talk with him, over some kind of video chat like this, or do we want to do we feel like we want to do other, do we want to have someone check references or, other things like that? What are the steps we feel are appropriate and necessary to give this committee sign off on the candidate? And I'm open to input from anybody else about what we think makes the most sense.
Does Tim have a description of the duties that are former, or could we get one from Tony? What he did?
So
May
just,
I?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mike, if I could, people have been talking about the bylaws and how it's written up in the bylaws, but what Natalie sent out from Voorheesville and Bethlehem are pretty good job descriptions, if we can leverage those. We don't have one existing outside of what's written in the bylaws. We don't have a job description per se. But I do like these two, and I think they cover the gamut of what Tony was doing and what you as a board would expect a treasurer to be doing.
Okay, now they don't include, I hope, making deposits.
No, exactly not. I think that's where the bylaws are just a little too specific and too detailed, where a treasurer would not have access to our bank accounts and doing day-to-day functions. So
Right, right,
it's a review of deposits and it's a review of activities. And
right.
it's a validation that separation of duties exist and things of that nature. So again, either of these or a combination of them, the Bethlehem and Voorheesville, I think would suffice for what this committee is looking for and trying to achieve.
Okay. And now you have copies of those too? And I think Natalie, you may have sent them out.
I just I sent them to Norina, but I don't think she was able to forward them on. So I just did it. So if you had checked your inbox a couple of minutes ago, they may not have been there, but they should be there now.
Okay. Mike, did you have them?
So I just received them from Natalie just a few minutes ago. I kind of gave them a quick browse. And again, I agree. I think they both seem reasonable to me. They I don't know if I haven't compared them closely to see if there's one that we like better or if there are aspects of one or the other that we want to kind of borrow into our own policy.
Or job description. It's
That's
not
what I mean,
really a
job
policy.
description. Yeah. So I don't, do you, does everybody else have those also? Did you get those in the email? Do you want to just take a minute and we can all kind of read them and see if there's either one that we like better as kind of a model to kind of copy from, and we can, modify it as we see fit.
Okay, Natalie, or one of you guys that know computers, I have you folks up on the screen, but now how do I get to my email? Can I just open up a new tab or something, or?
Yeah, you can either do a new, depending on how your laptop is set up, you can in the upper right-hand corner, Barbara, you can minimize WebEx. And then you can get to your browser, whatever you want to use, if it's Mozilla or Chrome, and then you can open up your Gmail or email that way. Sometimes there's icons along the bottom too. It just depends on how your computer is set up.
Hmm. Well, listen, if I lose you guys, I will get back into you and pull up the my browser here. Natalie, did you send it to my Hotmail account?
Oh, you know what? I sent it to the finance committee. If
Yeah.
you're not actually on the committee, then it wouldn't go to you. So you know what? Let me send it to you individually. Let me do that. Hold on.
To the Hotmail account. Let's see if it comes in. That's pbfred at Hotmail.
Still, only examining one applicant.
I mean,
I think that's all that we've gotten so far.
as
Yeah.
far as I know, we've only
All right.
received the
curious.
one. Yeah.
Natalie, I haven't gotten it yet. Did you send it pbfrat at Hotmail? Well, Mike and Tony, if you guys have seen,
That. I just sent it, so hopefully.
Mike, I don't see much of a difference between the two, between Bethlehem and Voorheesville anyway.
Yeah, they're pretty,
Correct. Yeah.
they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
Just as I compare, is there anything in particular?
I mean, they both hit the minimum 5 years, prefer 5 year experience, 10 years, they'll give a +2, CPA, blah, blah. So they're like lifted from the same thing, I think.
Yeah. The one is apparently Voorheesville one is a paid position, which ours is not. That's just a minor. The Bethlehem one, yeah, both of them apparently are paid positions. They're listed as part-time with salary commensurate with experience. So ours, we're gonna have to indicate that this is a volunteer, unpaid volunteer position.
okay, the only thing I see in the Bethlehem one, Tony did not regularly come to the finance committee meetings. He would on occasion, when we were developing the budget. But here, this Bethlehem description says that we'll attend, the trustee meetings, finance meetings, and other meetings as necessary.
Yes, and I believe I said it at the board meeting too. That usually is the case, like across the system, that the treasurer is always at the finance meeting. Like basically, like yes, you have a chair of the finance committee, but it's basically the treasurer that's kind of reporting and running that meeting.
So
We'll just even
I
go
wanted-
ahead. Sorry.
I was going to ask you about that because you had mentioned at the meeting that typically I think you said that usually when there's a monthly board meeting, the finance committee will meet prior to that board meeting with the treasurer to go, did I misunderstand that, or is that?
No, that's correct. I mean, it absolutely does not have to be right before the board meeting. That's just been the practice at all the libraries that I have worked at. Just because you already have that set time, right? Like, you're having your board meeting, every third Thursday at 6 o'clock. So, a lot of libraries just sent the finance, at like the half hour before, because there's usually no surprises. There's usually not a lot of problems. It's just, you're just reporting.
Yeah, so I mean, I would be, fine with trying to start doing that going forward. I had no idea that that was part of this. This goes back to when we were first placed on this committee. I had reached out to all of we had 4 members of the committee who had never served on the finance committee before, and 3 of whom were brand new to the board. And I'd reached out to the prior committee members and asked them what we do, and also to the prior board president at the time. And I was told that the finance committee had nothing to do and no duties until
Yeah.
January, when the budget season started, and they would start working on that. And there was so it's
No, I totally understand. And again, I apologize. I meant no disrespect when,
No,
we
I
were talking
was
about that.
happy to, if there's more that we ought to be doing to be, kind of properly serving the function of this committee, then it's good to know that, and it's just, this is part of it, is the huge amount of turnover on this board, where there's not a whole lot of
100%. Yep.
institutional
understand.
knowledge, and particularly with specific committees. But
Mike, just to go back to what you just said, that was the practice. That the finance committee was busiest during the budget prep season. Then you had a lot of meetings, but to oversee, basically what Tony was doing in his oversight role, nobody really felt it was necessary to do that, unless they saw something, and they would then call Tony and say, well, what is this discrepancy before the board meeting? And, so people would know ahead of time. But, if you feel you want to do it the other way, that's fine.
I'm open to, we can, discuss with the rest of the committee what people think makes sense. Well, we can come back to that. Let's, as far as these 2 job descriptions, the Bethlehem and the Voorheesville one, do we think there's one or the other that's closer to what we're going for?
Natalie, the Bethlehem one came through to me, but the second one came through with only the first 2 inches of must have been the cover sheet, and all the rest
Okay.
are just lines.
Okay. Let me try again.
Okay. But I like the Bethlehem one. I only questioned, that the volunteer would have to be present at all finance committee meetings. That to me is sort of laying on a burden that may not be necessary.
Barbara, what's your email? I can try to send it to.
Okay, P as in Philip, B as in Barbara, Frat, FRAT at Hotmail.
.com.
Yep.
Yeah. There'd be a Word document attached to that.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work, I can try to share my screen and
No,
bring it
I
up on
think
the.
I think you may have just. Let me just. I got a notification that an email was coming. There it is. Let's see now if I open it up, if I see things.
So just looking at the Bethlehem one. And it has the typical work activities. It mentions here, it says that the treasurer will be a sitting member of the library finance committee. And in our bylaws, is that the case, that the treasurer is on the finance committee or not?
I don't think it's in the bylaws. I can go and grab them.
Yeah, I'm looking real quick right now.
Oh, you have them?
Yeah, finance. No, it says the
Yeah, I
finance.
think it's just the treasurer is appointed. I don't think they have a voting.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so we'll take out that line about being a sitting member of the finance committee.
Mhm.
So I think trying to just kind of edit this lightly. Get rid of that. So let me, I've just, um, I've just edited it very slightly here and I'm going to post it in the chat and then we can modify it further as necessary.
Okay, so you just struck the, will be a sitting member of the finance committee
Yep. And then
and saved all the other bullet points.
yeah, I left everything. I'm basing off the Bethlehem one. Do we need that? I don't know the numbers here. The last sentence of the first paragraph from the Bethlehem one, where it's saying that the library is a school district library serving this population with an annual budget, all that stuff. Do we need that in here?
No, I don't see why you need that.
So just drop that, and then I dropped the line where it says positions under consideration for classification for Albany County Civil Service because that doesn't apply to us. And then I took out the sitting member of the finance committee from the next paragraph, and then I took out the last line where it says it's a part-time opportunity with flexible schedule and salary commensurate with experience because that doesn't apply. So let me post what I have, and then we can.
If you just, use that the treasurer is expected to exercise a high level of, et cetera, and then, and the bullet points, I think that's all we really need.
Are you looking at the bullet points from the Voorheesville one, or
I'm looking at the Voorheesville ones right now, which I think mimic very
Yeah,
much
I don't know. It's
the
different.
Bethlehem ones.
I'm just going to compare real quick and see if there's anything really different about that. Advise the board. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. So, all right. So why don't I'm going to post what I have in the chat.
Okay.
See if people are happy with that. It's the first paragraph. On the last, the qualifications piece of it, do we, this Windows environment, I don't know what the library uses or what the treasurer needs to be accessing. Is that accurate for our library? To the extent they need to interact with the library finance?
Tim, can you speak to that? I'm actually not sure what software we use for that. It's not QuickBooks, obviously, but I'm not sure what they use.
What was the wording again? I mean, I don't see any reason that the treasurer would or should have access to the systems.
Yes, that line may be unnecessary.
Tony never did.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm thinking like association libraries with the bookkeeper. Yeah.
In what form, like when Tony was doing it, how are the financials provided to him? Like what kind of format or what, you know?
To the best of my knowledge, and again, that's limited, but to the best of my knowledge, he got what you got.
Okay.
And then he would interpret it for you, you know. He would review it or ask questions of Carol and or Dave, and I think those were limited as well, but maybe a specific item on the check register or something maybe to explain, but for the most part, what I've gathered is that he just took what we gave him and reviewed it for reasonableness and to just make you guys feel comfortable that
Yeah.
it was accurate.
So I would just, I think I would just delete that last line because it doesn't seem relevant to the incumbent must be proficient in a Windows environment. I don't think that actually is a requirement for the position.
Right.
So other than that, let me know if people are happy with the rest of that job description that we have.
I had a question. I thought we had left off that here it says the treasurer will attend library board of trustee meetings, finance committee meetings, and other meetings as necessary. I thought we dropped that he would have to attend all finance committee meetings.
As necessary, I think it should be there, but not required every one.
Yeah, I guess does that as necessary also apply to the finance committee meetings?
Well,
can-
no, he's required to be at and that was the other thing, will attend library board meetings. I often wondered why poor Tony had to stick around for the whole meeting after he made his report. He was certainly welcome to do so, but when we say we'll attend library board meetings, do we mean that he has to stay for the whole meeting? Or do we see value in him staying for the whole meeting?
Probably not.
And again, I think that would be as needed. I think it just depends on what the agenda is, if there's any questions that come up later on in the meeting. But yeah, I would see no problem if he's no longer needed per the agenda, then they could leave.
So how about this? Actually, the Voorheesville one had slightly different language that I think maybe works. That one says, the treasurer may be asked to attend library board of trustee meetings and other meetings as necessary. So we could just kind of reframe that and just say the treasurer may be asked to attend board of trustee meetings, finance committee meetings, and other meetings as necessary. And then it's clear that it's not a every meeting requirement type of thing.
Right. Or even, we'll report, we'll report the monthly finances at the library board meeting, but then he's free to go to his family.
Yeah, I would agree.
I don't think it's necessary, but maybe in the top paragraph, did we want to say something like typical work activities may include but are not limited to working with the financial office to advise the board of trustees, because that's where this person would be getting their reports from. So I didn't know, at least it doesn't need it. I just didn't know if we wanted to put it in there.
So in the paragraph where it says typical work activities may include but are not limited to, you wanted to say something about
Yeah.
coordinating with library I don't know how.
Yeah, something like that. Work with library financial officers to create a report. I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's needed. To me, that's more accurate. But again, I don't think I don't have to die on that hill. Like if it's not in there.
Well, Tim, why don't you, we want you to be comfortable with this. Are you comfortable with what's written there, or do you want to add something?
I was comfortable with what's written there, honestly. I thought either one of these would have been cookie cutter. I understand you may not want them at every meeting, so you can take that line out, but
Yeah.
yeah, I really think you have a good baseline right here. And
Great, thank you.
So we have to refine that. The treasurer will attend library board of trustee meetings as necessary or something, or somebody said it more.
So here's, let me, wait, are you talking about the meetings one?
Yeah, the treasurer will attend library board meetings. I thought we said that as necessary.
So here's, I just posted a revision of that paragraph. What do you think of that? Does that look okay, everyone?
are you sharing it?
I posted it in the chat,
Oh, in the chat, sorry.
yeah,
I was,
sorry about that.
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
So I just had Jenna just message me and she was looking up the bylaws for us. On page 4 under treasurer, the last sentence, it does say the treasurer's duties, but not limited to, is to be in attendance at finance and audit committee meetings, not a voting figure, but to sit in.
finance committee meetings?
Finance and Audit Committee. Okay, yes.
Yeah, okay.
As necessary.
Let me just double check that text again.
Here's what it says. The treasurer's duties shall also include, but are not limited to, presentation of monthly analysis and summary within treasurer's report of financial statements, check register, review of bank reconciliations, audit reports, and attendance at finance and audit committee meetings.
Yeah, I don't have
Now-
the bylaws in front of me, but they also say a lot of other things about making deposits and doing other things that we're not gonna.
That was in the,
anyway, So,
the best practices from the library handbook. That's where that deposits thing.
Okay.
came out of.
got you.
And Mike, you know, as I said in the past, Tony would only come for the budget development meetings because that's basically when the finance committee met.
Right.
And often, sometimes, when we're in labor negotiations, then he would be present for those because he would do the compilation of, you know, if we gave X number of dollars, a percentage, then this is what it would cost. So,
I thought
And-
Carol did that.
well, she did that, and he would sometimes come too. Carol was I would say the major player, but sometimes, you know, Tony would come to those. But
You're saying Tony would be at union negotiations? For that reason? That surprises me.
no, he wasn't at the
Oh, okay.
negotiations. It was like if we had questions or things, you know, after that, you know, Carol would pretty much figure out. Like, I misspoke. She would actually do the percentages and stuff. And then, you know, as necessary, you know, he may be consulted, but she was really the mainstay, as you will be.
All right. So are we good with this now? Or do we think we need any more, or should we add in something about the audit committee, or we just leave it as is for?
Well, it says in other meetings as necessary. So, I mean, if you want to add audit, that,
All
you
right.
know, that is a logical thing that he would be there for that, but, I don't know if it's necessary because you have as other meetings as necessary.
Yeah, I agree.
Should I, here, I'll just put in audit committee meetings, so it'll say finance committee meetings, audit committee meetings, and other meetings as necessary.
Okay.
And it's there. It's all right. So I guess if we think we're satisfied with the job description, let's talk about how we want to proceed with our candidate who's been, I guess, conditionally appointed.
I think, you know, once we're at this stage, we should go into executive session, discuss the qualifications or non-qualifications of the individual, and then come out of that executive session and, you know, vote to approve or not to approve.
Okay, I guess my question was more, do we, without getting into the details of the particular individual, just process generally, do we feel that we need to do anything beyond, get additional information beyond what we already have just from his resume? And like, do we want to invite him to a meeting of the committee to, you know, kind of interview or talk with him? Do we want to do any, you know, reference check type things? Or if we're just comfortable based on the resume going ahead, you know, it's more the process rather than analyzing the particular individual.
He hasn't.
Personally, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right. He hasn't seen the job description yet, though, right? Because we don't
He
have
hasn't-
one.
He hasn't seen it. I mean, I
Yeah.
described it generally when I had the,
Okay.
I've only had one, I had one phone conversation with him where I kind of described generally, the job.
Mhm.
But he hasn't seen this actual, job description yet. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's always the possibility that, he'll say, oh, I changed my mind. I'm not interested, or whatever. You never know. But,
I think that, if I were a candidate, I'd want to have a two-way conversation with the committee that I'm going to be supporting. I wouldn't just want to be blindly accepted without interviewing you guys, in a sense. It's a relationship, and I think we
That was, yeah.
owe him that courtesy to introduce yourselves to him and say, this is what we're looking for. We'd love to have you come on board.
I agree with Tim. I mean, it can be just another like virtual meeting like this, or even
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
another phone call.
Mhm.
all right. I'm happy to do that we could send him the job description and say we'd like to, invite him to, a virtual meeting of the finance committee to discuss, his interest in the position. And then go from there. Does that make sense to everyone?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
I mean, do you want us to post this job description? Do you want us to pass it along to us, and Luann will put it on our Facebook and website, or you're just going to take it and give it to him?
I guess
to be sure that we're doing our part.
until we actually, until we've, somebody has accepted the position and it's done, we might as well just have it posted, right? Just in case we
Sure.
get more applicants. Does that make sense to people
I think so.
Well, but
or not?
I don't know.
I think so.
This
Yes.
this gentleman has stepped forward
Yeah.
and appears highly qualified. We advertised this thing for over a month, I believe, on our
Yeah, but
and
yeah,
newsletter and everything else. It's
that's a good point. But if he declines, you're going to be 2 weeks behind, as well, if he declines.
There's no downside to posting it.
I mean, I think even if we get another applicant, given his resume, it's chances are probably slim that we'll get somebody that on the resume basis looks more impressive. So, we can put this up there, move ahead full speed with setting a meeting up with him. And hopefully if everything goes smoothly, we set it up as soon as we can, talk to him. If everybody's happy, he's got the job and we're done. But if for whatever reason it falls through, then at least we've posted this and maybe somebody else comes out.
Okay.
So, is that,
Like, do you want to send me the updated
I'll send
version,
that-
and I'll
I'll
pass
send
it off to Luann?
Sure. I will send the updated job description and then, and I'll reach out to the applicant as well.
Excellent.
And, and we'll
and
see.
Mike, if he would be available, for a quick, 10-15 minute meeting, I would say the sooner the better. Even if it's in the next few days, if we could, collectively get
Okay.
a time that
Yeah.
we can meet, even like noon time, or I don't know what, Tony, do you have any breaks at all during the day when you're working, or?
Nope.
Okay, so it's 4 o'clock or later then that we would meet.
And I can be available. That's fine.
All right. Let's, I'll tell him that we're, looking to move as quickly as we're able to, and, just we'll see when he's available.
Good.
So,
Good.
so what general constraints do we have? We're looking for something at 4 PM or later. Does anybody else have regular things that they're aware of that, I have things, here and there on different days, but
The only thing I have is the foundation meeting on Thursday, but again, it's not till 6. So I mean, I'm fine.
all right. Well, I will, I'll get the ball rolling on that and we'll see. I do know that last week when I spoke to him on the phone last week, he was actually away on vacation when I was talking with him. I don't know if he's already back or when he comes back or how long he's gone for or whatever. So But he may very well, I mean, I had a phone call with him on vacation. He might be able to just, do a Zoom meeting like this from vacation,
Right.
wherever he is also. So that is not necessarily a barrier to getting this done quickly.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
All right. I will send the job description right now. And then, and we'll, I don't know, keep this moving.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate you guys meeting so quickly.
All right. Meeting
See you
adjourned,
later.
I guess. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.